everyone. This is Gail Estella, and welcome to the Gail Estella Survival Podcast. Here's where we turn pain into purpose, because survival isn't a whisper, it's a roar. Before we get started, there's a couple of things I need for you to do for me. First, would you please go in, like and share and subscribe to the Gail Estella Survival Podcast. Secondly, where are you tuning in from? Put in the comment box below where you're tuning in from. I'm here in Aiken, South Carolina. Are you following me on all of my social media platforms? If not, will you please do so at Gail Estella? And lastly, Through It All by Gail Estella. Have you purchased your copy of Through It All? If you haven't, it isn't too late. You can go to True Vine Publishing Company, Amazon.com, and anywhere books are sold. My guest for tonight, Miss Deborah Hemphill. I met this lady when she moved from Arkansas and I became her stylist. Not only was I her stylist, we forged a relationship and we've seen each other through a lot. I am so grateful she is here tonight to tell her story, and I am going to introduce to you Miss Deborah Hemphill.
Hello, how's everybody?
Hi, Deb. How are you doing?
I am well. I
am so grateful for you to be here tonight with me.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like I said before, you moved from Arkansas. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, as you know, my name is Deborah Hemphill. I moved to Rock Hill from Arkansas in 1989. I moved here. My mom has always lived here. My grandparents raised me there. And after the passing of my grandmother, I moved here and built my life.
You built your life.
Mm-hmm.
So how was the transition from Arkansas, two different parts of the states, to Rock Hill? How was that transition for you?
It was very difficult. I was a 23-year-old young lady with a newborn and just navigating life, not knowing a whole lot of people outside the family. But by working, and I'm a talker, getting to know people, everything just kind of went from there.
Everything went from there. And you met your husband once you moved here? Tell us about that.
Yep. Actually met my husband when I started coming to visit my mom.
Okay.
At the age of 15. He would be at my mom's house playing with my brothers in the backyard. So that's how I met him. And we kept in contact over years, lost some years of contact, but we always found a way to get back in contact, because back in those days, there were no internet.
No cell phones.
Right. So, yeah, we lost a little contact when he went to college, but found him again. Knew he was at Wofford College, and that's how we, contacted each other and got back in contact and moved here. But when I moved here, he was actually in college. There was no relationship at that time between him and I. So just over time when he graduated college and just, found our way back.
Found your way back. Yes. Yep. Divine intervention. Okay. Question for you. How long have you been married now?
February the 10th will be 30 years.
30 years. And how many children?
2 children.
2 children. And how many grandchildren?
And 1 stepson. I have 4 grandkids. We had 5, but we're here to talk about the one who has passed away.
Okay. We're here to talk about the one that passed away. So before we begin to talk about him, will you please call his name? Because his name matters.
Yes. Rashid Janevin Johnson.
Rashid Janevin Johnson. I remember Rashid. So tell us about Rashid. What type of kid was he?
Rashid was a jokester. He liked to play. If you knew Rashid, you knew Rashid. He loved his sisters, very good student, well-behaved, well-mannered, first grandchild. So, of course, he had a bigger piece of my heart than anybody. But Rashid was just a jokester, sweet child. Just to know him is to love him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how Rashid was.
That's how he was. So what led up, if you can give us the journey from the time that you start seeing symptoms of his illness?
Okay. So Rashid was a eighth grader at Saluda Trail. He actually ran track.
Mm-hmm.
Like May of 2022, he started complaining about his legs were hurting. Get the summer break, he started complaining a little more. We thought, okay, you're running track, you're not stretching, you're just being lazy, blah, blah, blah. And um, we went outside July 20th of 2022, 2 days after his birthday. And he said, Nene, I feel funny. So we're walking out the front door. He's kind of had his hands on my shoulders walking. We get outside, he fell. He could not
And
get it.
how old had he just turned?
He just turned 14.
14. Okay.
Just turned 14.
Mm-hmm.
And he was real slurred with his speech and said, Nene, I don't know why I feel like this. So at that point, I called 911 to have him taken to the hospital. And from there, they did some tests at Piedmont and transported him to Levine's,
Mm-hmm.
where this was a Thursday. And Saturdays when we got the diagnosis, they did all the testing. And then he got diagnosed with leukemia, AML.
AML, which is a form of cancer.
Right, blood cancer.
Blood cancer. So when you heard the diagnosis, or when your family
Yeah.
heard the diagnosis, cancer, relive that for the audience.
I can tell you exactly where I was. I was in the kitchen preparing breakfast. And in my mind, we're going to pick up Rashida and Rashid, bring them home. Everything's going to be fine. So she
And
called.
Rashida is his mom.
Rashida is my daughter and Rashid's mother. She called to say, hey, we got the diagnosis. And my husband said, well, he said, well, what's the news, baby? And she said, obviously nothing good. And when I heard those words, I lost it, because I never imagined that would come directly to our house, our
Knocking
family.
on your door.
Yep. And then from that moment, I went into my bedroom and I lost it. It took me a couple hours to get it together. So finally made it to Levine's. Dennis went ahead. I just couldn't do it at that moment. And just getting there that day, everything felt different. And that Sunday, they came in with the plan. The doctors came in with the plans of what days he would get chemo. What he wanted to decide what he wanted to be a person they could do like testing on. He said, no, I just want the regular treatment because I'm ready to go home.
Mm-hmm,
And going home, our journey was to Levine's Children's Hospital every day until his passing.
Until his passing. So AML, for those of you that don't know, leukemia is the number one childhood cancer. And the thing about leukemia is that it has a very high success rate.
Mm-hmm.
ALL has like a 90% success rate, and AML has a 60 through 70% success rate. So that's still high.
Yeah.
That's still something to hold for. Yes. And it says a rare cancer of the blood and bone marrow, more common in adults, and affects 730 children in the United States. That's 20% of kids. So the diagnosis is high. The healing diagnosis is high, but then 20% of kids getting it is low.
Right.
And Rashid was that one.
Right. Yep. Never would have, suspected that, going through the treatments, he had some issues with some brain bleeds. Sometimes the actual chemo would harm more than the cancer itself.
Yes, it does.
So through those surgeries, he went through that like a champ. He never really complained. It was amazing to see this child go through all this and never really complain.
How many surgeries did he have?
3.
Three.
3 brain bleeds, 3 surgeries. And the last
let's go back to that. Okay. The surgeries. He has one surgery. Tell us about the feelings. Okay, he has to have the first surgery. So in your mind, are you thinking, okay, this is going to be the fix of all? He has this one surgery and everything is going to be good.
Right. Because once he got done with that, he was just snapped back to Rashid. I mean, just him waking up that day, and we had to tell him he had brain surgery. He was like, oh my God, they took my brain, And we comforted him, no baby. And He was like, yelling everybody's name. His Uncle Pat was there. Dennis is Pop. I'm Nene. And we was all by his bedside. And he was like, no, baby, you're fine. They had to do some surgery. You had some bleeding on your brain. And so by the next weekend, he was just back to Rashid. I remember going to the hospital and his eyes were just as big as ever. And he was just talking and went from there. And this was August. And I want to say maybe October is when he had the next one. And I remember that night. Now, my daughter, Rashida, she was on top of it as a mother. She knew everything. She asked questions the doctors would never ask before. So that second surgery, that night, he had so much bleeding through the bandages. And so she was concerned and they weren't. And she unleashed on the doctors. But she was right. So that led to the third one. And that was the final one he had. And when he came out the ventilator, he was a different child. He raised his arm and said, thank you, Jesus. He even told us that my mother, who passed away July of 2016, that she was going to come back and get him later.
Wow.
My daughter hasn't recorded saying he was in heaven with my mother. He explained, and we got to record it again, that it looks like it's beautiful up there. Everybody has on white, like you're walking above the clouds. He told Pop, I'm going to walk and preach with the Lord every day. He was a different child. Everything he said was, after that was amen. At the end of every sentence, amen. He was just a different child. And
so
he was able to come home.
Before his surgery, before going to the hospital, had he given his life to God?
Yes.
He had?
Yes.
Okay.
He was part of a group, a young group at church, ministry group, BAM. My brother has that, and he loved going to those events. Yes.
And so after the third surgery, he awakened a different spirit.
Yes.
Yes. So do you feel, because what you're telling me is that he had some type of intervention with God during this time?
Yeah. God, we feel that God showed him where he was going. And he could explain to us what it looked like up there, because my mother was there with him and an uncle who had passed away from esophagus cancer, May. Their spirits were there. That's what we feel as a family. They knew he was coming because he said his uncle gave him a Coke and a Bojangles cup twice. It described the coat he would wear to a T. So we felt like he had an experience and he could tell us about it. So we just kind of was like, in our minds, why is he even mentioning these people? Why is he even telling us any of this? Because we felt he was fine.
And you still are holding on to hope that he was going to be healed on this side.
Right.
And he was going home.
Right. And he asked God to take that cancer away. And he did. He was cancer free when he passed. Sepsis is what really, his body couldn't handle it anymore.
Couldn't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
So the hospital stay. What does that do to a family, being in the hospital with a child? Ooh. When everything else around you, life is still going on.
Right.
But here, your life has transitioned to a point or a place that you never ever imagined.
No. It was surreal. It's like unbelievable. Like the sisters, we would leave our school and go straight to Levine's every day after school. And I would give them 2 hours. I would spend with their mom and brother. I would do their homework. And we did that. But it was like a dream. Like every day we're going to Levine's and you see babies in rooms by themselves because the parents had to work. They didn't have the support that we had. It brought us closer together as a family, but because we had to have that energy for him. Mm-hmm. When my husband would get off work, he worked in Monroe that particular year, and it just was, God was just everywhere in this. It was closer for him to come from Monroe to Levine's versus coming from Richburg for the same company. So it just worked out perfectly for him. He would come in with such high energy every day. I would look over at him thinking, wow, I wish I had that type of energy. But it was it was just surreal. I mean, we surrounded him every day. The staff, they were awesome. The doctors, they were there. Um, Family members that could come, they would just come sometimes, just sit in the waiting room, not to see him, just to support. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the school family, they took care of us, gave us
Mm-hmm.
gift cards for food and gas. But the hospital stay was opened my eyes to so much that I never would have thought. Who thinks about being in a hospital on holidays until you're there?
Mm-hmm.
That Thanksgiving before he passed, that was the hardest day ever that going through the whole process. That was tough because it was so much heaviness. Because at this time he was on the oscillator to rest his body, and we just didn't know what to think at this point because we had never been to this part before. But it was the hospital stay in itself is eye opening.
It's eye opening. And
Mm-hmm.
so you said something earlier that Rashida advocated for him when she saw
Oh
the blood
yes.
on his bandages.
Oh
And you
yes.
also said that there were babies there that
Mm-hmm.
were unattended because
Yes.
everyone didn't have the luxury
Exactly.
to be able to be there. And I've
Yeah.
experienced that as well. How much different do you feel that the care is? Because we know that the doctors and nurses are going to do their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But how much different is the care when the medical staff or the medical team know that this person
Mm-hmm.
has people advocating for him?
Mm-hmm.
This person has a presence
All right.
than someone that doesn't.
Oh, that in itself speaks volumes. When you're there daily, they're going to be on top of their game. They know this child is cared for, loved. They even made comments. Wow, we can't believe you guys are here every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
where would we be?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I know they see this day in, day out. And I remember once my daughter said, to you, he might be just a patient, but this is my child. And I mean, she knew everything. Even to the point where, if I could share this, when he had those brain surgeries, they had to take off a part of his skull. And she even asked the doctors once we got done with all the chemo and radiation, next would be bone marrow. We didn't get to that part, but she said, why would you put that skull back on him if it has, you know, blood in it? You could be putting the cancer back in his body.
Yes,
They had
deteriorating the healthy
never,
part of his brain.
right. They had never had anybody ask that question. So imagine maybe a patient who had that done before and went back into having issues with cancer. So
Mm-hmm.
they started doing a prosthetic one. So when that time comes, it could be put back on.
So, and we're going to move forward because I like this. When we think about the disparities of the healthcare for African Americans,
Hmm.
there is a prosthetic skull.
Hmm.
Why not give him the prosthetic skull from the beginning?
Right. Until she asked that question, she blew their minds with questions that she would ask, and she would say, after we go back and forth with our words, she said, I mentioned this to you guys. And with her being so petite and little, they thought she
Soft
was his
spoken.
sister. Uh-huh. They thought she was his sister in the beginning. They
Mm-hmm.
were looking at Dennis and I like, no, this is his mother. You know, she is 33 years old
Mm-hmm.
at this time. So it was a lot, but she finally got the respect, I think, that she was needing. But just day in, day out, she was there with her child. She even lost her job within 2 weeks after
Mm-hmm.
being, having to stay there with him. But we didn't even care about that at that time
Right. At the
because
time.
all we were concerned about is Rashid getting better, being there to support him. He did get a little depressed when school started in August. I think it was that was the first week he had his first brain bleed. He got very depressed because all his friends, they were reaching out and he could see them, and all he wanted to do was go to South Point. That's all Rashid wanted. And that particular summer, we got registration done extra early And we just going about our lives not thinking this would ever happen. And even sometimes now my husband wake up on Saturday mornings, he said, baby, unbelievable. We're in that stage of still grappling with reasoning, and it just seems surreal. Because like sometimes talking about him is actually what makes me feel better. Because that's the therapy. Because we talk about him all the time. I mean, every morning my prayer, I thank God for the 14 years. It's surreal. Yeah, it's surreal. And I've heard people say, "Oh, Miss Hemphill or Deb, you look so good." Then they find out that you're going to something like this. I don't know what I'm supposed to look like. I'm just trying to, as I say, push through. That's my thing. People say, "Hey, how are you doing?" I say, "Hey, I'm pushing through." And when I say that, I'm pushing through those hard times.
The hard times.
That moment could be a hard time that I'm pushing through, because it's not easy. Because you're carrying the weight of your child hurting from losing her child. And she's my child. So, and Rashi was our first grandchild. So he was just Rashi, our only boy. But it's a lot. So I push through, but we still trust. We still trust God. We pray. And we just tighter as a family. We've always been close, but this just made us closer.
And we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. I want to go back to him having his encounter with God.
Yes.
So once he described how heaven looked and that he saw his uncle and he saw his grandmother, did the family get some type of acceptance that maybe he was going to pass?
At that time, no, because everything was good. Because he actually got to come home like 2 weeks later for 10 days.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Then he went back for the next 5 radiations, and the nurses say they never saw anybody handle that so well as he did.
And he had a petite body.
Yeah. He was so little.
Strong spirit.
Yeah, with a strong spirit, because he had a will to live. I mean, and we could sit there, and sometimes I just look at him when the days when I would go up there, he wasn't feeling well. I remember one Saturday in particular, me and the girls we left at 9. We was going to spend the whole day there. Just got there. My brother Patrick, he's always the early bird, taking them breakfast, and he was sitting there, and it was raining this particular day. He didn't feel well particular day. And Bailey, the youngest sister, she leaned in to hug him, and he grunted like, And her whole face was just like shattered. And I had to explain to her that your brother's not feeling well today. Today's not a good day. It's probably achy. It's raining. And so we had this thing that we would do when we get in the car. Okay, we do a check-in. Okay, girls, how are we feeling after we're leaving today? Are we feeling good? Okay, heavy, whatever. And so we would check in that day. Bailey was very heavy. But, we got through it. But we just felt like, everything was good at that point. We didn't feel anything was going to be like the way it ended until maybe the week before Thanksgiving.
And tell us about that.
Yeah, we were told that we were going to have to start making some hard decisions because his numbers weren't where they needed to be, the breathing and everything. So, but still holding on to hope. My son and I went that Saturday after, because it got to the point where I couldn't go daily after being put on the oscillator and told this news. That Saturday we went there. His lungs were clear, as clear could be. Numbers were perfect. That Sunday after Thanksgiving, I didn't go. My husband went that morning. He didn't call right away. I was like, okay. I called, and he's like, I'm going to call you right back. And I said, hey, what's going on? Dr. Bailey said, got to make some decisions. I said, for what? I couldn't comprehend because I wasn't thinking that way, because I remember Saturday everything was good. And that led up to the next day was his passing, because his heart rate and everything was doing nothing. So she had to make a decision. And I remember an Hispanic family was there that morning, and they lost their 16-year-old daughter. I remember sitting in the family room. My husband went down to the chapel. I'm just sitting there trying to gather myself, thinking, I have to go back in here and we have to support Rashida through this process. Unbelievable. And I remember walking back in the room and she was laying on him where she put his arms around her. We left her in there about an hour just so she can have that time. And that was just unbelievable. Like I said earlier, we still say it's unbelievable, but I feel like he knew where he was going. And that makes it easier. And things going on into the world now with kids dying senseless. I take comfort. We don't have to deal with that. Go to a courtroom, but it's hard. It's hard.
Well, you know, Deb, and I'm going to interject right there. I interviewed my guest. I interviewed a guest last week, and her daughter passed from a car accident. And we were talking about the exact same thing. And I think only a parent that has lost a child could understand when we say that at least we know they're with God.
Right.
We don't have to worry about the phone calls. We don't have to worry about gunfire. We don't have to worry about someone kidnapping them, molesting, all the bad things that are happening, the traumatic things that are happening that we can't protect them from.
Right.
And now we know they are protected.
Thank God.
Because they're with God.
Yes. Yes. That's the comfort you take in that. You find places to take comfort.
Yes. Anywhere you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have one particular song that we like, Brian Courtney Wilson, Eyes Haven't Seen, Ears Haven't Heard. Actually, that's the verse we got on his headstone. When he was a little boy at 3 in the backseat of my car, he was singing those lines. And I just, he loved music. And I think back to those days like, wow, he'd already spoken those words. Eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard all the plans I have for you. That song, I listen to it like every morning going to work. Sometimes that's my strength. But he loved music, loved singing, dancing. Oh my God. That was Rashid.
So Rashid passed the day after Thanksgiving?
Yeah. November 28th, 2022.
2022. And you said something earlier. Not only did you have to grieve for yourself, you have a husband. Your firstborn that just lost her firstborn.
Yep.
Your son lost his nephew.
Ooh.
And your grandkids lost their big brother.
Yep. Cousins.
How was that? Cousins. How was that? Yes, Zoe lost her cousin. How was that for you?
It's difficult to see the pain that they go through. Like at the funeral, I can say funeral, you say service. At this funeral, to see them in so much pain and hurting and not quite understanding everything fully because it was so out of the blue for them. We protected them from a lot of the things that he was going through. Definitely didn't let them see, him on the oscillator. It's difficult. I pray a lot. I ask God for strength and guidance a lot. It changed all of us in ways that you can't imagine. But through it all, we still here together, loving each other even more. He's in the center of everything that we do. His pictures, everything.
So are his pictures still staged in the house like they were before he passed?
His room here is the same. Nothing
still staged. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to use the word stage because it is still exactly the same.
Right, because the last picture that he took was 8th grade. And that's the picture I post most because in my mind, that's how old he was. He was when he left here. And to me, that's the oldest he'll ever get on earth. But I love his baby pictures because I took every picture. You can remember the moment, how you felt, what was going on. So that's comforting sometimes to see those baby pictures of him.
So what? Let me see how I want to say this. The grieving process. What helped you through it? I know you said family, God. Did you ever seek therapy? Did any of you ever seek therapy?
I took grief therapy. I'm the only one who has.
You're the only one.
Nobody else I guess they're not ready yet, but I did that
Mm-hmm.
a month after,
Mm-hmm.
because the days after his funeral and everybody had left to go back home or whatever. I remember that winter was the grayest, wettest, and it made it so difficult because there was no sun shining
Yes.
nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. And I remember maybe end of January, we got some sun. I opened every blind downstairs. The sunshine makes me feel better, but I just couldn't get out of bed. Be honest, me and my husband,
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't function. We couldn't. It was like we were just stuck. Didn't know
Mm-hmm.
what to do because you have to think our routines had changed.
Everything about life had
Everything had
changed.
changed. We didn't go to Levine's anymore. I I wasn't working for a week or two because of what happened. I couldn't function, because it was just too heavy. It was
Mm-hmm.
heavy, and that therapy helped me a lot. The lady that I chose, she would pray before and after each session. She gave me a lot of good scriptures to read and things to hold on to, and just it's heavy. It's heavy. But lean on your family if you got family. Trust and lean on God. He has a plan. We don't know what it is. But Rashid prepared us. We just couldn't accept it at the time because we thinking, oh, well, he gonna be fine. We, even through those brain bleeds, we got through that. So it was hard, and it
I
still
know.
is nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I thank God. I thank God for his life. The way he touched me, he made me a grandparent. I took my job as a grandparent seriously. I tell my grandkids, y'all made me grand. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he just
Mm-hmm.
he showed me another level of love I never knew
I know.
I could experience being a grandparent. That's how I explain that. And I love my grandbabies. People that know me know I love my grandchildren. So just lean on your family and
Lean
your
on your
faith.
family.
And
So
your
the
faith.
stages of grief:
Ooh,
denial,
ooh,
anger,
ooh.
bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
Yes.
How many of those did you experience?
All
Oh,
all of them. And I grapple with acceptance sometimes. I still do now. 3
mm-hmm.
years still do. Sometimes you can wake up and you realize like he's not here anymore. We grapple with sometimes anger still, all of
Mm-hmm.
it. I've experienced all of
So who are you angry with?
them. I would say sometimes I think I was angry at God.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter, we talked about a month ago, and my husband has a friend, Michael Bridges, has a church in Gaffney, and he did the eulogy. Dennis met him in college, and they became good friends. He's a really good friend, and he called her the day after, and he said, "Hey sis, how you doing?" She said, "Well, Mike, I'm gonna be honest with you." She says a few choice words, and he said,
Mm-hmm.
"Rashida, you can be angry at God. Tell him." She used a few choice words. She said, "Mom, I never shared it to you and Daddy. I'm surprised Uncle Mike didn't call." I said, "No, he didn't, because that was you and his relationship at the time. He came to the hospital several times from Greenville, where he lives at, to be with us, and was so surprised at how well Rashid looked through the process, all he went through. How people lose their hair. He didn't have a chance to lose his. His was cut off due to the brain surgery. So
Right.
that in
Yeah.
itself probably was a big plus, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Not having to see him go through that. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So she has a few trust words, but you're angry at God. Sometimes ask him why. And then you hear something say, it's my plan. He's my child. So of course,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
How
okay
about
to
the
feel that.
doctors? How about the doctors? Were you ever angry with the doctors?
Rashida was.
Mm-hmm.
She was a lot. She unleashed a lot because, bless her heart, she stayed there day in, day out. Um, I think Dennis and I might have was able to relieve her maybe 4 or 5 weekends here and there when things were well. And trust me, Rashid woke us up early. Nene, we got a lot to do. We got a lot to do, Nene. He was so amped up and anxious, but she unleashed, and I had to calm her down a lot of the times. But she expressed how she felt, and we had a very good social work. We had a good team of people. They even reach out to us now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about depression?
Yep. Went through that. The first, I went back to work 2 weeks after, and probably for the first year, I would come home on Fridays. I wouldn't leave my house. And I said, I'm not depressed, but I knew it was,
Mm-hmm.
because I felt like I had given all I could. I didn't have anything else to give. And I would stay, I would come home, tidy up what needed to be tidied up, take a shower, get on my bed, and that's where I would be all weekend. And then my husband was like, "Come on, baby, let's go eat breakfast." I'm like, "Ugh." And eventually, we're to the point where we're going places a little more other than just work now. We're getting there, but it still sits on us very heavy. Yeah. I was that way. Monday through Friday, I can go to work, come home on Fridays, I'm done.
Shut
Don't
down.
bother me. I'm just here. And I know that wasn't the right thing to do, but I couldn't get out of that.
Yeah. And so you said you knew that wasn't the right thing to do.
Right.
What would be the right thing to do? So if you had to say this is the right thing to do, what would that be?
Well, I felt like I should have probably pushed through, but I think the right thing to do was just take the time that I needed to
That's
find
the right thing to do.
me. I had people to say, "Hey, let's go out for breakfast." I said, "Well, I'll take a rain check."
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't. I just couldn't. I was stuck.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I said, you know what? And God talks to us.
Mm-hmm.
Push through.
Mm-hmm.
Push through. That's why you hear me say, "Hey, Miss Bill, how you doing?" Hey, I'm pushing through.
Mm-hmm.
And I am pushing through now.
Mm-hmm.
We, like I said, we're a little more sociable, but not as social as we used to be.
And you'll get there. And I know sometimes people may move too fast.
Right. Oh, I've seen that.
Because they feel that they have to accept it and move forward.
Yeah.
And for those that feel they need to do that, that's them. But what happens to all of that grief? What happens to the anger that's on the inside? What happens to the depression? What happens to the denial and the bargaining if we don't allow ourselves to feel each one of those stages?
It will eat you up. It will eat you alive. It will eat you alive if you don't take the necessary steps to grieve. My grief process will look different than yours, anybody else. Me, and to know me, I'm a homebody by nature. That wasn't too out of character for me, but to know how I would come home on Fridays, I didn't have nothing to give. I just couldn't. I had nothing, just done. Eat ordering food in, not going out. Now most Fridays, Dennis and I would go out to eat. The girls look forward to every Friday, but it was a time where we just order in. Even holidays, we're still hosting because I'm the oldest. I have 3 brothers, and we host things here at my home. We're still doing that, and sometimes even people would call and say, "Hey, just check see if y'all cooking or whatever today." Right after losing Rashid, but they didn't know the intimate things that we had to do to prepare, like when we grilled out.
Yes.
Rashid was a big part of that. He would spray the yard down for insects or whatever. Or Dennis would go out and get the charcoal. They would go buy the meat or whatever. And it took my husband probably a year, maybe a year and a half, to even get in the backyard to even grill or smoke food. It just took it out of him. Anybody that knows my husband know that losing Rashid, no, we didn't lose him. He's not lost. Rashid passing. And I said it every time I say lost. He's not lost. Rashid passing took a lot out of him.
Yes.
Just the things that we used to do when we go in the backyard. Backyard was our place where you would hang out, grill out, play music. They would dance, whatever we did. And I remember one time in the hospital, he said, "Nene, are y'all going in the backyard hanging out still?" I said, "No, baby, we're waiting on you." He said, "But Nene, I want y'all to."
I want you to.
He wanted us to, but we just couldn't get there because he wasn't here. Everything was different. So the day when he did come home in October, We were in the backyard, and it was a beautiful Saturday.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
when we talked the other day, you said something about the intimate details.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the things that others don't know about.
Right.
Those are the
Those,
things that
yeah.
only the family know about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Remember the song we talked about, Love's Ballad? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what
Jeff
we have is
also.
much more
Mm-hmm.
than they see, and things that you do, nobody would ever know because you're only there in that home. So those things meant so much more, but we just couldn't get there. So
Mm-hmm.
it took him a long time. Took him a long time to do that, and I was thinking, well, why don't they just bring that over here? If they wanted to have that time, bring it to us instead of us bringing it to you. We're not quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people understood. No, they didn't. They
Yeah.
didn't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they didn't mean any harm. It's just the way I felt about it was like angry.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was in that angry
And
stage.
and I feel with death, I've never lost a mother. I never lost a father. I never lost a sibling. I lost my grandmother, but I did lose Asia. And I know that hole.
Yes,
And sometimes I wonder, do people understand, or can you understand if you've never experienced it?
you can't. You can't understand that because like I said, my mom's passing was 9 years ago on the 11th of this month. I moved here when, like I said, her mom and dad raised me. I moved here at the end of December of 1989, and she passed January of 1989. And when she passed, my grandmother raised passed, my whole life was flipped upside down. I was young, 23-year-old girl, didn't know what to do, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But moving here with my mom and brothers, it helped a lot. And then when my mother got sick, it took me to another level of losing her. It took us there. And it's just like life was totally different after she passed. I navigated through that with the brothers. Thank God, we got through it as a family. We did things to support her together. That meant a lot. But it changed everything. But looking back now on how Rashid talked about her, she's out there, she's gonna come out and get me later. I thank God, you know, that he had that support because he knew
Yeah,
where he was going.
he
Yep.
knew where he's going. And
Mhm.
does it make you feel better to know where he's going or where he
Oh yeah.
is?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes now when I'm riding around, and Rashida can tell you too. She said, "Mom, I'm riding around looking up at the clouds." Because Rashida says, "I'm
Oh,
walking above the clouds,
mm-hmm.
looking at the clouds
Mm-hmm.
all the time."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because someone's on the way to work, I tell the girls, "You see that beautiful red-looking cloud up there?" And Rashid's favorite color was red.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe in you get signs from him.
Yes.
Rashid was a
Yes.
jokester. I've gotten a couple of things that happened to me in the kitchen, and I'm thinking nobody but Rashid would do this because he always played with Nene. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he would be upstairs and looking over the catwalk, ducking up and down, laughing because I'm in the kitchen cooking, watch this or whatever. So Rashid is Rashid.
Mm-hmm.
We have a flower uh, outside when you walk out the door to the left. We had that planted, and it has red flowers on it, blooms red, and so we call that flower Rashid.
Rashid.
Last
Mm-hmm.
last year, that flower bloomed up into November. hmm Yep. Dennis and Rashid showing out this year, huh?
And those
So
are the things that give you comfort.
yes, get us through those tough times.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes. So in a perfect world, Rashid would have been 17 because
17.
he just celebrated a
Yeah.
birthday.
Yep. Still had gifts he hadn't even opened. Because they were on the couch. We just because people were bringing gifts by. But he
Hmm.
would have been 17 this July 18th, and he would have been a
Hmm.
senior at South Point High School.
Getting ready
Never,
to graduate.
never made it to South Point. That's all he wanted to do. And I remember Gail when I was coming to you when I had my hair shorter, and you were saying Asia just wanted to finish college. I
Hmm.
think about that all the time. And he just wanted to go to high school.
Hmm.
But he graduated. He graduated to the highest high school ever. I
The
thank God.
ultimate, right?
Yes, I thank God. I said, you know what? he's there where he needs to be. His
Mm-hmm.
time was here, 14 double completion. So
Mm-hmm.
it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I would tell anybody losing somebody, take the time you need for you. Don't let anybody dictate to you. You shouldn't be in the house or whatever. You have to do you. Because being out, I wouldn't have been good for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
If I went to those breakfast invites or went out to eat with some girlfriends when I was not ready, I wouldn't have been any good to anybody. They would probably talk about me like, what's wrong with her?
Mm-hmm. So let's take it back one step further. Let's go back. What would you tell mothers and grandmothers? Because, a lot of times we feel that you have to be old to die. But now we see young people are dying at an alarming rate. They're leaving here before their parents.
Ooh,
And then we, experience the woulda, coulda, shouldas.
yes.
So what, did you experience any of those?
Still do.
So do you mind sharing any of them with us?
The shoulda, coulda, wouldas, in
Uh-huh.
life. I would say the first thing, if you lose, you're losing somebody, again, take the time for you. Don't be afraid to do it your way. Don't try to please anybody because you have to take care of your mental, your
Mm-hmm.
physical.
Mm.
You have to
Spiritual.
take care and spiritual. You have to take care of all of that because if you don't, you find yourself in a dark hole. I've
Mm-hmm.
had friends lose people like that. But the biggest thing I would say to anybody, take care of you.
Take care of
Lean
you.
on God. Lean on family. Lean on true friends. Because sometimes through this, you'll lose people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sadly, but you will.
Mm-hmm.
Never understand how that can even happen when you're going through the worst pain you ever feel, and people just kind of shoo you away or whatever. But
Brush it off. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's amazing how things are brought to full circle, even through death and sickness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Love
Mm-hmm.
yourself, love your family, love your true friends, and most of all, trust God.
Trust God.
Push through
So,
those tough times. However, pushing through for me is, I guess, I'm still working, so work is what gets me through. Now, I may come home on Friday still. I may fall apart, but I can't stay there.
mm-hmm.
Have your
That's,
moments, fall apart, but get yourself back together.
get yourself back together
However long it takes, but get yourself back to a place where you're okay.
when you're okay.
It's okay.
So, and this has been good, and we're going to wrap up in a few minutes. And I still want to go back. I want to go back to you telling the mother or the grandmother that has that child
Mhm.
the importance of spending time,
Mm,
hugging, kissing, talking, caressing,
yep.
having the barbecues, the intimate details,
Hmm.
how important the intimate details are. So, in lieu of God forbid something happens
Right.
that you don't experience, because I think we're all going to experience the woulda, coulda, shouldas because we look back and think of things that we could have done differently.
Right.
But how about not being bogged down with them because you knew you could have spent more time. You
Right.
knew you could have gone to a game. You could have gotten off work to go to a game. You knew you could have made that phone call. You knew you could have apologized or made amends.
Hmm.
So what would you say to those parents and grandparents or grandparents?
Just piggybacking off what you said, spend all that time. Do the work. Enjoy each other. Do everything that you can. Don't be the grandmother say, "Oh, I'm too young to be a grandma." Don't do that. Tomorrow, next minute is not promised to any of us. Spend time, love on your people God gave you here. Don't shy away from things like that. It's important because I probably was an overbearing grandmother. I am because I love my babies. I guess maybe coming from a person who was raised by a grandparent,
Mm-hmm.
that's just who I am. But don't shy away. Spend that time. Love on your people. Go to them games. Go to them events. Tired or not, do it. I did it for my kids. Imagine how many times over I do it for my grandkids. Do it. Just do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just do it. This has been good. So is there anything else that you would like to say?
Well, thank you.
Oh, I know what. Let's talk about hoodies for Rashid.
Oh,
Tell
yeah.
everyone what it is that you do to honor him and
Okay.
how they can be a part of it.
Okay. So, uh, right after his passing, that was a tough year. So as time went on, you know what? Rashid loved his hoodies, right? Especially when he was in the hospital. It was like a barrier to him, covering up his head. He didn't have
Mhm.
hair. He was self-conscious about having part of his skull missing, but you couldn't tell. But it was him going through this, right? So I got to think, I said, you know what? I want to give back to Levine's because so much was given to us.
Mhm.
And so what we did was started asking for donation and new hoodies for Rashid, in honor of Rashid, rather. Whether it was through Cash App, Venmo, or bringing new hoodies, or even writing a check to Levine's, I would take them there to give to our social worker, and she in turn would give them to the kids on the 11th floor that Rashid was on. And we had so many text messages from our social worker saying parents were so happy, they were crying like, thank God, because we had nothing but the clothes on our back. So when Rashida
Mhm.
and Rashid went to the hospital, they didn't have anything but the clothes on their back. So we know how that is. So we were able to take maybe like 75 the first year. Last year we had 101, and we just opened it up now. I post
Mhm.
on Facebook. It's on his birthday. Why not? We want to celebrate him bigger this year. So we've received some donations. So I'm gonna start buying hoodies. But if you want to give, please give. Even my school got involved last year. Uh, so this year we're hoping they can do the same thing. But if you want to donate hoodies for Rashid, check my Facebook page out. Holler at Gail. But we would love for you to donate. If you want to just
Mhm.
take them up there yourself or whatever, write a check, we're fine.
And how do we find you? How does the audience find you on Facebook?
On Facebook, I am Deborah Kazee, Kazee, my maiden name, hyphen Hemphill. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. The same thing on Facebook. Instagram. I'm Kazee Girl. But you can reach out to me on any platform of that nature. But we appreciate the support over the years, and we look forward to making it bigger and better every year in his honor. This is something he would love because he
Mhm.
has hoodies that he has never worn. They're still in his room, and we haven't touched anything in his room and probably won't for a while. I remember, Gail, you
Is
talking
this
about
okay?
your baby, and
Mhm.
it's just something you just can't do right away. And I'm okay with that. It may seem
Mhm.
crazy to people, but walk in our shoes.
Mhm.
Then you understand why you can't do it. That's part
Mhm.
of them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So when we think of ways that we can still show love
Mm-hmm.
to our loved ones, is hat. I mean, I'm getting ready to say hats for Asia, but hoodies for Rashid. Is that
Mm-hmm.
way? Is that one way of you
Yep.
showing love for him?
Yep. Yep. In his
Mhm.
honor, because I know that's
In
what
his
he would want.
honor.
He loved his hoodies. He got one special one for his birthday, and the day it was November the 7th of 22. I just came back from Arkansas from my aunt's funeral, and he came home the next day. He had this blue hoodie on. He didn't want to ring that bell. He wanted to wait till bone marrow. We never got to that. And that blue hoodie is hanging up in his closet. He loved his hoodies, and I think it does. I think it does something for kids going through cancer, losing their hair,
It
and they're
does.
cold, and
Mhm.
it serves many purposes.
Many
So that's why
purposes.
we do it. It was
Mhm.
like a barrier for him. He stayed in
Mhm.
that hoodie, and one thing the nurses said that I'm proud of is how respectful Rashid was to them. They said most teenagers come in, they obnoxious, they bad mouth, but Rashid, even through it all, was very respectful. Even when he
And
come
a
out the
lot of them
ventilator,
are angry.
yeah, coming out the ventilator, he'd be a little amped up. And if he said,
Mhm.
like he said something, he said, "I'm sorry, Nurse Allie, can I have a hug or whatever?" She spoke at his service, but through it all, he grew up from July 20th until he passed away, November 28th of 22. Short period of time, but we're thankful for the life that Rashid lived, and we're going to carry his name as long as we have life in our bodies.
As long as you have life in your body, remember your past, cherish your memories. Don't
Mm-hmm.
live only there. You are still alive. Look around yourself today.
Yep.
See the new day. You are still making memories.
Mm-hmm.
There's more of life to come.
Yes.
Trust the process.
Trust the process. Push through.
Push through.
Push
We're
through.
going to do on that.
That's my word. I'm standing on. Push through.
Standing on, push through. I have 3 questions. I have a question for you.
Okay.
I have a question for you. This is the Gail Estella Survival Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I usually say, tell me 3 things that has helped you to survive.
Okay.
But I'm going to say, tell me 3 things that has helped you to push through.
Memories, family, and the man above.
Memories,
Co-workers.
family, co-work.
Yeah. Friends and co-workers the same. Those things help me push through the most. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Gail, for having me.
This has been good.
Yep.